How nice of God to not force you to spend all of your time with Him. Go into the fire pits. Hey there guys, I just want to quickly talk about this because I put in a lot of consideration on whether I should even upload this video, because it's been filmed for quite a while. Not this clip. This clip is being filmed this date, but the clip was filmed like, I don't know, like about a month ago. I don't know, the days are all kind of blending together with this virus, so I'll show a caption as soon as the clips start playing. I know that religion is often seen as a very sacred topic, but the things that I say in this video are no worse than anything that the YouTubers like Cosmic Skeptic or Aaron Raw or Theremin Trees or Dark Matter 2525, all of those are very openly atheist YouTube channels, and they're considered in high regard, it seems. And I'm not saying that that's wrong. They totally earned it. It's just, you know, sometimes I always have this little inside of me like, oh, what if I get into trouble if I do this? But I think it often needs to be said, because I'm so sick, and I think these guys are too, like Non-Stamp Collector. We are so sick of hearing people ridicule our beliefs that there is no God or that God is morally wrong if he does exist. And they'll always give the same dang arguments, like, oh, well, hell is free will. God wants you to have free will, so he's going to give you the choice to reject him. And that choice also involves being tortured forever. It's just ridiculous. And I am, and I think a lot of other people are too, of hearing these same arguments over and over again. And no, I'm not expecting this video to magically fix everything and then no one will bring up these arguments anymore, because, you know, people like the YouTubers I just mentioned have been making these arguments for years and nothing has really happened. But I'm hoping that this video will reinforce those ideas. And hopefully maybe a couple of people who might want to use these arguments for something, maybe if they're in an argument themselves, then they'll be here. Not to mention that we've got like non-atheist people, like religious people, like Paul and Morgan, who go out of their way to make a video titled "What It Looks Like for a Wife to Submit to a Husband to Lead," which is literally them talking about how women should do whatever their husband says. And it's like, oh, well, what if the husband is bad or abusive? And they basically say that the girl is supposed to get to know the guy before she marries him, but once she marries him, she has made that decision. And they start the video off with this.
And if we get one comment that says, "How dare you tell me how to live my life?
Why do you want to tell me how to live my life?"
We're not telling anyone how to live their life.
Or are you not?
The Word of God and let the Word of God tell you. Someone's going to tell you how to live your life.
Yeah, it's you. You decide how you live your own life. And I cannot explain how offended I am that they are talking about a belief system that involves torturing billions of people for eternity, and they dare to start their video with a joke. Just that moment where the guy's like, "Why are you gonna tell me how to live my life?" Like, why? What was that? If there is a God who is going to end up who is running a system where billions of people are tortured, this is the most serious thing in existence, and you're treating it off like it's a joke, which it kind of is. So actually, the more that I think about it, I'm actually very glad that I'm making this video, so screw it, you know? If you guys are offended, we can talk about it in the comments. You're probably not going to change my mind, I'm probably not going to change yours, but maybe we'll learn something from it. I hope you enjoy the video. Be respectful, everyone. Bye-bye. But me, on to the video. By the way, I just thought about it, and I'm not gonna link that video down below. You can find it. I showed you the title. You can find it if you want. Their names are Paul and Morgan. You can go back and, I don't know. I don't think that a video like theirs deserves to, like, have a link in the description to it. I will put a link, though, to Theremin Trees Cosmic Skeptic, Aaron Ra, and Darkmar2525, and Mr. Atheist too. Watch at your own risk, because like some of their content is a little bit like adult. Like it's definitely not made for kids or anything like that. I don't really think that this video is necessarily made for kids. It's not made for adults either, but like they have some pretty good videos. It might be worth checking out. There we go, just got into focus. Hey, what's up guys? It's probably not maybe your favorite YouTuber here. Now some of you may remember a video that I posted a little while ago called Storytime, the Demon's Advocate. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. But it was basically a story that I wrote based off of the show The Good Place, which I also highly recommend, and you better watch it without spoilers. Like, even if you like spoilers, seriously, just binge watch it. It's the most bingeable show ever, and don't look up spoilers. It was kind of based off that show, and the main premise was that we move from the basic good people go to heaven and bad people go to hell premise to something much more reasonable. I'm not even going to say in my opinion, because I think it's objectively much more reasonable. I'm not just saying that because it's my idea, because it is based off an idea from The Good Place. I just expanded upon it more. But the point is that that video has been uploaded, and lo and behold, someone who I assume is religious found it and left like around about 12 comments, all but one basically telling me how I was wrong, and I responded to each one. You can go to that video if you want to see. Here's a video right here, and just looking for it. Yeah, he left a lot. One of them was actually pretty nice. I did watch the entire video, and you indeed have quite the imagination. Good work of fiction. I feel like that's supposed to be passive-aggressive at that last part. Yeah, I sincerely hope that it is fiction. I hope that it hasn't been that people have been burning forever until just recently when my story happened, and then all of a sudden all of humanity got saved. I hope that the perfect God got it right from the start. But anyway, in his final comment, he recommended that I check out these guys by the name of Frank Turek and or Rice Brooks. Alright, let's check one of them out. Oh, well, this video looks quite nice. Frank Turek answers atheists 3 objections to Christianity. Please ignore the fact that that bar kind of signals that I watched most of the video already. Yeah, when I looked up his name, that was the first video that got recommended to me, so it was the first video that I watched. Thanks, Maggie. And, yeah, I didn't watch the whole video yet, but judging by the fact that I already watched more than half of it, and all of it, I just kept on thinking, oh my god. I think it's safe to say that I don't think it's going to convert me to Christianity. There are a lot of people who will say like, oh, I wish that there was like one sentence that I could just say that would make atheists see the truth, or atheists the other way around. Unfortunately, if there was one sentence that you could say that would automatically convert the person to the other side, even though I don't even see why we have to be converting, isn't it all a spectrum of belief? Why can you just like accept the fact that there could be a God, but that hell is also wrong? If there was one sentence that could automatically change the person's mind, then it probably means that the person wasn't taking it that seriously if all it takes is one thing to automatically change their entire worldview. And also, if there was one thing that would work on every single person with that belief system, chances are someone already found it. This is awkward. Smitty. Smitty. It's very nice of you, but I'm gonna be... Actually, okay, hang on. We're just gonna play this video, and I'm just gonna react to it. Here we go, let's not waste our time, let's get on with the video. If you want the visuals, you can check out the video yourself. I'll link it down below. It's basically like a guy like talking kind of in a TED Talk thing. I don't think it is a TED Talk, but it's similar.
Yes, sir, what's your name?
Hello, my name is Carter.
Hey, Carter.
And I'd very much like to begin by addressing your offensive moral law argument that without God as an objective moral standard, we atheists, those who do not have the influence of theism, would be Hitler-esque amoral beings.
Okay, let me stop right there because that's not the case. I never said that atheists can't be moral. I never said atheists don't know morality. In fact, atheists know morality just like everybody else. We know morality because it's written on our hearts. What I'm saying is that
written on our hearts, or because we just know it?
Can't justify morality.
we can't justify morality. Well, I don't really like the fact that I have to point this out, and it does kind of disturb me a little bit, but we can. We are genetically a cooperative species. We would have not survived if we didn't cooperate. In case you haven't noticed, humans are quite weak. If you were to chuck a human into the middle of the Arctic right now, they'd die after a day, especially if they were wearing a t-shirt and stuff like that. Humans were a lot tougher back in the day before they invented stuff and made life easier for themselves, and they evolved to become a little bit weaker because they didn't need their strength anymore. And they weren't using it, so they weren't evolving to be strong, and then they mated with people who were also not strong, and then they ended up... I'm not saying that no one's strong, I'm just saying that we're a lot weaker on average compared to what we were millions of years ago. But say when we were primitive savages roaming around the savannah looking for food and hunting tigers, I'm not sure if that's actually true, but let's just say a group of humans can take down a tiger much better than just one human. So we naturally found out. I don't think that many people understand what evolution is. Evolution doesn't adapt itself to us. Evolution is simply survival of the fittest. I'm not too big on the scientific rebuttals to God. I'm mainly more on the I don't agree with hell. But as far as I'm aware, it simply goes that, say, why are we not automatically, say, suicidal? Well, because people who were genetically wanting to hurt themselves would have hurt themselves and immediately died. Versus the people who wanted to survive, they went on to reproduce and have more people and then make more of the species. It would take a group of humans to be able to take down a tiger easily, and we found out very easily that if we were to randomly start killing people, that then there would be less of us, and it would be less likely that, not even just to take down the tiger, but just to survive in general, cooperate to build shelters and stuff like that. And if we were to, say, be mean to other people, they wouldn't like us, and then they wouldn't hang out with us, because why would they if it's making them feel bad? And then we'd be alone. I feel like this is quite a weak way to explain it, because I'm essentially saying that we only know what morality is because it benefits us, which isn't always the case. In fact, most of the time it seems like bad actions are the one that benefit us. But that's indeed an idea of the good place. A little bit of a spoiler alert, but I'll try to spoil as little as possible, but let's just say that as time went, the morality system of who got to heaven and hell was designed at the very start of humanity. And it hasn't changed even now. And let's just say that as time moves on throughout human nature, and as life gets more complicated, it becomes a lot easier to do bad deeds, and bad deeds tend to benefit us a lot more, and that means that a lot less people are getting into heaven than it was when humanity first started. But also, I don't see why it can't just be that we are good for the sake of being good. Like, why would you want to be a jerk? I mean, like, I get it if it benefits you, but, like, it doesn't take a god to know what is good or bad. Many people that I've met seem to go out of their way to say, like, oh, well, good is technically this and bad is technically that, when in reality it's quite simple. Causing pleasure is good. Causing pain is bad. Everything that you will ever do will cause a little bit of good and a little bit of bad to happen everywhere. And it really just comes to, you know, is the bad worth the risk if it means that the good happens? Every single species on the entire planet can agree that pleasure is good and pain is bad. Even people who say that they enjoy pain, well then I guess pain brings them pleasure. If you're happy, it's good. If you're sad, it's bad. Therefore, causing happiness to other people is good. Causing sadness to other people is bad. You don't need a god for that. You just need those sentences. I don't get why so many people can get confused by that one. I honestly feel that's very simple. Anyway, that's 10 minutes of footage. It may seem less to you because I'm editing, but only half a minute into the video, I say we move on.
That's the point. In fact, I had to say this several times to Christopher Hitchens. I'm not saying you don't know morality. In fact, I like Christopher. I thought he was a good guy. What I'm saying is you can't justify why not murder innocent people to get what you want. That's the point. It's a point about ontology, not a point about epistemology. It's not a point about how you know the moral law. It's a point about why does the moral law exist.
I may return to address this, or the gentleman behind me may address it, but I'd really like to address your design argument.
Okay?
As I understood it, you've argued that a painting or a creation, to use the term painting, implies a painter, or a design implies a designer. But I must ask, who designed God? And if no one designed God, if God is timeless, spaceless, and immaterial, and he existed eternally in an uncaused fashion, then why can't nature exist in the exact same way, in an eternal, uncaused, spaceless, timeless, immaterial fashion?
Exactly.
Why can't our uncaused origins be as marvelous and precise as God, but be natural causes?
Excellent question, Carter. That's a very good question. You're right that we have two options here. Either the universe is the uncaused first cause, or something beyond the universe is the uncaused first cause. The problem is that all the evidence points to the fact that the universe is not the uncaused first cause. And I didn't have time to go through that evidence tonight. That was part one. But I'll give it to you very briefly in an acronym, SURGE, S-U-R-G-E. S stands for the second law of thermodynamics, which says that the universe is running down. Well, if it's running down, somebody must have wound...
Can I just say, I don't get why we have to go so much into science. Why can't it just be torturing people is bad?
And the E stands for Einstein's theory of general relativity, which shows that time, space, and matter are correlative, that they came into existence together, that space, time, and matter literally had a beginning. Einstein knew this in
Time had a beginning. I'm just gonna bear in mind that you said that. Let's keep going.
1916. Then observational evidence began in 1919 when Eddington did his test on the eclipse. And then Hubble discovered the expanding universe in 1929, and then on to the radiation afterglow of the great galaxy seeds after that. So the evidence points to the fact that the universe is not the uncaused first cause. So there must be something beyond the universe that is, and that thing that's beyond the universe must be spaceless, timeless, and immaterial.
But why does it have to be your God, specifically?
And if you're timeless, do you have a beginning?
Oh my god, didn't you just say that time itself had a beginning? Isn't the whole concept of time is that stuff has a beginning, a middle, and an end? That's literally what time is. Events happen. There's a beginning, there's a middle, there's an end. Time itself, having a beginning, makes just as much sense as a timeless being having a beginning. And also, when people say that God is timeless, therefore he has no beginning. Because, okay, I have heard apparently that some people think that when they try to explain the origin of life, they say that might have come from aliens. And that's not, I don't think that they're saying that aliens came down in their spaceships and blasted the earth and created life. Although that, who knows, that might be the way that it happened. They're mainly talking about how antibacteria actually came from an asteroid that crashed into the earth, or might have come from Mars or something like that. But no one is saying that that's definitely the answer. They're saying that it could be the answer, just the same as your God could possibly be the answer, but we don't know if that's actually true. And also then, many religious people will often say, oh, well then who created the aliens, which is a fair question. And then the idea is that you can keep on saying, like, whatever they answer with, probably another alien, they'll just keep on saying, oh, well, who created that, who created that? So then atheists can simply say, well then who created God? And then the religious people will say, oh, well no one created God because he's spaceless and timeless and eternal. Right, but what does spaceless, timeless, and eternal mean? That's metaphorical. You can never even begin to understand it. Why can't you just have a little imagination? Well, how do you know that there isn't some sort of God to your God that created your God? So there is a God that created your God, but this God exists beyond time, beyond logic, and created the very fabric of time, a beginning, and logic, and that's how your God was created. You're just talking nonsense. What the heck are you talking about? It's metaphorical. Why can't you have a little bit of imagination? It doesn't matter if God is timeless. If you're saying that your God can exist without a beginning, then that means that things can exist without a beginning.
No, so God is not, he didn't have a beginning. He's the uncaused first cause. And look, Aristotle...
What do you think, Smeggy? Big Bang is often seen as the beginning of the universe, but I remember even when I was a little kid and I first heard about it, that apparently the universe was once compressed into a tiny little point and then suddenly expanded. very first thing I said was, well then where did the speck come from?
I believe that you're drawing a false dichotomy.
The idea is that matter in itself, everything that exists in the universe right now was in that infinitely compressed single point. And that matter itself cannot be created or destroyed. That's like a basic rule of science, I think. I learned that in middle school.
We do not know that the original cause was God. There is no reason to say that an intelligent designer was the first cause, the uncaused first cause that caused everything else. I do not have the training or expertise to refute such science, and in fact, I accept your conclusion that the Big Bang had a beginning and space, time, and matter came into existence from a point of origin. But we do not know that this point of origin is God. Calling it God is to make a false assumption. Another reason for the existence of everything might simply be that other dimensions have the power and the marvelousness and complexity to create a situation where where the Big Bang could be brought into existence in space, time, and matter.
People in the back are looking like they're thinking real hard about this.
Well, Carter, what you just described there is what we would call God. God is...
Okay. So you think that what he just described means specifically the God who sends people to hell unless if they accept Jesus? Yeah, sure, if you want to say that whatever created the universe, that is what we would call God, then fine. But it doesn't mean that it's your God specifically with his exact background as is detailed in your holy book.
A dimension that has the ability to bring these dimensions into existence. So if you want to call it another dimension, you can call it that. But that's exactly what we mean by God.
Why is it your God?
And why is there a theology? Why do we worship God? He could easily be called another.
Excellent point. You don't have to worship God. In fact, Aristotle never worshipped God.
Yeah, hang on. To anyone who says that atheists interrupt them, he just interrupted him right there.
In fact, the Greeks never got their theology and philosophy together. They knew that there had to be an unmoved mover, but they never put the two together and worshiped the unmoved mover. So you don't have to worship the unmoved mover. You don't have to. You can do whatever you want. That's why you have free will. God loves you enough to give you free will.
But he's gonna send you to hell if you don't worship him. That's the problem.
You can love him or reject him. That's up to you.
Yeah, but you're still getting sent to hell.
But on that point, you do have the free will to accept or reject God. But the obvious conclusion is that rejection of God will lead to eternal damnation in hell. So in reality, we do not really have the choice to accept or not to accept God. We must ultimately accept God, assuming we choose to avoid perdition.
Well, if you want to avoid... Well, let me back up for a second. There's only two possibilities if God exists. In eternity, you're going to be with him or you're not going to be.
No. The choices are not that you're either with God or that you're not with God. The choices are that you're either with God or you burn. Not even reacting to that. Normally you'd go running for the front door when it opens. It's not that you're either with God or that you're not with God. It's that you're with God or you go to hell. It's like the classic line from the Star Wars prequels. If you're not with me, then you're my enemy. No. Why can't it be that you're not with God, but you're not in hell either? Are you saying that there's nowhere else to be but either with God or hell? Because what about Earth? That's clearly a third option. And don't tell me that God is unable to create a fourth option or a fifth option. And even then, I once had someone literally tell me that if you don't like God now, that means that you won't like God ever. Buddy, I don't even know who God is. I haven't seen any pictures of him. I haven't seen any videos of him. People like Chris Pratt or Fred Rogers, they seem like nice people from what I've seen. But I wouldn't say that I like them on a personal level because I haven't even met them yet. And it's not my duty to go out to these popular people and meet them. If they want to have a relationship with me, then they can come to me and I'd personally be honored. You never know if you like someone until you've met them. Otherwise, you're just saying that you like the version of them. And even if you do meet someone and you don't like them at all, what if they change or you change and you end up liking each other later? Just because that you don't like someone at one specific point in time doesn't mean that you'll never like them ever. Have you, like, never heard of a romance story? Pretty much every single one of those starts with two characters hating each other, but then they grow more affectionately towards each other.
If you don't want to be with him, God will not force you into his presence against your will.
And so he'll throw you into the fire pits, because apparently you not being with God means that you deserve to be burned forever. I remember someone once had told me that, oh, their brother, their family member, had abandoned them and went away. But he still loves his brother and will still send letters to him. Yeah, God doesn't do that. God doesn't love the person even though they were against him and sends them love cards. Throws them into the fire pits. I don't get how you cannot see the difference between your relationship with your brother and God's relationship with everyone who isn't with him.
In fact, let me make the objection stronger than what you're making it. You're very polite, but I debated an atheist who was a little bit more direct. And let me tell you, this man...
This was about the point that I stopped watching the video.
His name is Eddie Tabash. He's an attorney from Beverly Hills. We debated at University of Michigan a number of months ago. And he looked at me during the Q&A and he said, Frank, my mother was a survivor of the Holocaust. She lived an awful life. Somebody presented her with the gospel and she rejected it. Is she in hell right now? I said, Eddie, I don't know where your mother is. I don't know if she made a profession of faith in her last moments, but
I guarantee you it didn't even cross her mind. And if it did, it wouldn't have been like, oh shoot, I'm dying. Do I accept Christ or not? Oh my God, I only got a few months to decide. No, it would have been something like, oh my God, wait, there's so many religions. Okay, do I think it's Christianity? Do I think it's Hinduism? Do I think it's Islam? Or maybe it's none of them. Or maybe it's Judaism. Or maybe it's a religion that hasn't even been thought of yet. Or maybe it's, oh no.
Didn't? Then God will not force her into his presence against her will. God.
Okay. Even if someone rejects the gospel, that doesn't mean that they don't want to be with God. Maybe they'll want to be with God once they meet him and get to know him. I mean, you know, I personally wouldn't if I found out that he was sending people to hell, but, you know. Why do you think that just because that someone rejects the gospel, that means that they don't even want to see God? They don't even want to see him at all? I thought that when you die, you do see God anyway, and then he judges you and then sends you to hell.
Loving for that. And I asked the audience this question. In fact, I'll ask you as an audience this question. Ladies, is there anybody in here who's ever had a man pursue you and you did not want that man to pursue you? You did not want to date him? Anyone in here? Of course. In fact, some of you are going, yeah, he's sitting right next to me right now. He won't leave me alone. I said, okay, ladies, suppose this man continues to pursue you and continues to pursue you. And you say, look,
Yeah, I get where you're going with this, but it all comes back to the same thing. How nice of God to not force you to spend all of your time with him. Go into the fire pits.
So if he truly did love you, what would he do?
Throw him to the fire pits.
He would leave you alone. That's exactly what God does.
No, he throws you into the fire pits. I don't see what is so hard to get between leaving someone alone and throwing them into the fire pits. There are a lot of Christians out there who will say that hell isn't a fiery place. Maybe hell is just, you just die. Like, you don't, like, it's just lights out, you know, like, probably what death is anyway. It's just that if you're a Christian, then you get to live on and live blissfully. But even if you're an atheist, why don't you get to meet God? Why don't you get to, like, spend time? Why don't you get to continue to live life blissfully just without God? I haven't even met this God yet. I haven't even met this Jesus yet. Why are you assuming that I am able to make my decision on whether I like this God or not? I mean, if he sends people to hell, then I'm pretty sure that I don't like him.
Keep sending us cards, letters, and flowers while we're here. And if we keep rejecting him,
he gave us one book. That was it.
us up to our own desires. And that ultimately is
That ultimate desire is to go to the fire pits?
separation from God.
Isn't it fire pits?
So
What
we're
is hell?
bringing-
Can someone please explain to me if hell is fire pits or not? Because I have met so many people who said that yes, hell is fire pits, or no, hell isn't fire pits, or hell is just separation from God, and they don't actually explain what that means. Or hell is you just die.
You can continue to reject God in hell.
We're not rejecting God. We haven't even met him yet.
You're confined to hell. In fact, hell is a quarantine of evil. That's what.
Yeah, there you go. You finally said it. So you're either with God or you're in the fire pits. It's not that you're with God or you're against God. It's that you're with God or you're in that torment of evil. And you even said in this video that's logically the only two options. No. Why do you think that just because that you're not with somebody means that you're against that person? Look, like, my best friend Billy. Are you with Billy? So does that mean that you're against Billy?
And heaven, of course, is being in the very presence of God. God loves you too much to force you into his presence against your will.
But he's still gonna send you to hell. Oh, sorry. You send yourself to hell. Way to blame the victim.
Thanks, Carter.
That's it. That's it. Sorry, I really don't mean to sound rude. I'm just incredibly disappointed because I'm pretty sure that everything that he said in that video has been told to me by the guy who left the comments suggesting I watch the video. I don't, like, I had to promise someone that I wouldn't be, like, too cruel in this video. But I'm so ticked off that this just wasted my time. I hope it didn't waste your time, though. I hope that maybe, you know, if you're an atheist, maybe now you know some rebuttals to some of the things that Christians might say. I highly doubt that this video managed to convert anybody, just the same as how this video didn't convert me. But who knows? Maybe this video might put some good into the world. It's probably going to put some bad in it too, but, you know, if it puts any good at all, I think it's worth it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, dislike, comment down below your thoughts, and I'll see you next time. Sorry, don't mean to leave it on a low note. Bye-bye. Smitty, I have to get up now. Smitty, I'm getting up. Sorry, bud. Sorry. Buddy. Sorry. Ow, I hit my foot on that table there. Hey guys, I don't want to leave this on a low note, so I'm just gonna give one last argument to something that I kind of hoped would appear in this video, but didn't. The classic fine-tuning argument. The idea that, oh, well, life has so many factors that need to be exactly right for life to exist, and Earth meets all these factors because life exists. So life is so complex, and this environment needs to be exactly right for life to exist, and it just so happens to be here on Earth. Therefore, do you honestly think that this just happened just by pure coincidence? There are many rebuttals to this, but I'm a big fan of two. Firstly, is that, yes, the chances of us existing, or life existing anywhere, never mind getting up to where we are now as humans, is 1 in billions. But look around. There are billions of planets in the universe, and so far we are only aware of one, this one, that happened to support life. It's as if, I don't know the exact odds, but it doesn't really matter, but let's say the odds of having twins instead of a single child is 1 in 80. So you line up 80 people that are all pregnant, and lo and behold, one of them gives birth to twins, and you go over to that person and you say, oh my god, this person had twins, the odds of that was so low, this must have been rigged in some way. But you're ignoring the other 79 people who didn't have twins. And also another big one is that, yeah, life needs to meet a perfect environment in order for it to exist. Why? Why is life so fragile like that? There's a famous puddle analogy that a lot of people tend to misunderstand, but the idea is that the water in a puddle wakes up and says, oh my god, the hole that's surrounding me is exactly right to fit me. The hole must have been made to have me in it. That's not the case, is it? The hole in the ground wasn't made for the water. The water shaped itself around the hole. The earth was not made to have people on it. The vast majority of the earth would not be able to support people. And in fact, I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that all of the earth couldn't support this version of us now, especially without our human creations. And everywhere else besides this little speck that we call Earth is uninhabitable to humans. The universe wasn't created for life. Life shaped itself around the universe. And the reason that I feel that this ends on a high note is because it is basically saying that we had to fight our way to get from single-celled organisms to where we are now. And if humans can do that much, I think that they can take whatever's waiting for them in the afterlife. You never know if you like someone until you've met them in person.